Thank you. The first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to hear a report on the Pallet Shelter, and the city manager of the city of Chico is here to give us an update on that. Mr. Orme?
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Canelli, members of the board. Thank you so much. What an honor to be here before all of you. Really appreciate your dedication to this county, to the city of Chico as well, and all the help that you give. And when Andy reached out to me, I couldn't help but say, well, let me just come over and do it personally, because you've been a tremendous help to the city of Chico in so many areas. And one of those areas, as you very well know, is the Pallet Shelter site. And I'll quickly just run through a variety of areas where the Pallet Shelter currently exists and stands right now. But I would be remiss if I didn't start with thank yous. Thank you to the board. Your $1.7 million dedication to ensuring that we were able to get this Pallet Shelter site up is immense and totally appreciated. We sincerely thank you. In addition to that, it's without measure that we see every day, not just in this instance, but regularly, your staff. They are incredible. CAO Andy Pickett, really appreciate his leadership and his willingness to communicate regularly. Also, I want to commend, particularly on this one, and through other means that we work with the county on, Behavioral Health Director, Scott Canelli. I think Scott's in the audience, and I just really appreciate him. And your desk director, Shelby Boston. You have an incredibly talented, multitasking staff, and I don't know how they get everything done that they do. So I just want to commend you on behalf of the city of Chico for your excellent staff. Now let's run through a few things. First of all, you know there's many variables associated with this site and putting up any type of shelter site. Once the city came to the conclusion that this was the best approach, because we have congregate shelters, we don't have individual shelter types of units. Well, this accommodated that to a large degree, but there was a leasehold on the site to begin with. So we had to go through the process of getting through that leasehold, demoing that site that was previously a BMX site. In addition to that, there was buildings and other structures on the site. We were able to go in and do that. We had to go in, we had to grade the entire site. We had to go in and lay electrical, which was done in the past few weeks here. In addition to that, there's other utilities that need to be connected as well. So working with PG&E and AT&T and all of these acronyms really gave us a great level of evidence as to what developers go through all the time in coordinating projects. And so we have much compassion and empathy for what they go through. But this is being put up in excellent time. The biggest piece are the pallet shelters, 177 pallet shelters, and you made that happen. Thank you. Those 177 pallet shelters could potentially house up to 354 individuals if every bed was used in it. That is incredible. We've never had a site of that measure in our county, it's my understanding. I will tell you that as we're going through this process and I'm looking through all of the list of things that we're having to do, pieces are falling into place very readily. I anticipate that the site will be up and operational in the month of March. We have a lot of legal hoops to jump through still, and we continue to do that on a regular basis. And so just know that there are some aspects of the site that I can't speak to because they still have a measure of legal negotiations still underway. But I will tell you that contracts have been put in place. One of the most preeminent ones that we needed to ensure was in place is that of the individual entity that will be running the site. And that was going to the Jesus Center. They have a history in our community. They have a knowledge and know-how of how to manage through the difficult circumstances that people are faced with. And I won't go through all the details as to why they were chosen, but the bottom line is we're very, very blessed to have them as a part of this process. In addition to that, the city of Oroville made its name known in this process as well as the entity that combined both the shower service and also in conjunction with that, the laundry services is actually over here from Oroville. And there's a local group that's going to be providing those services on a regular basis for the site as well. In addition to that, we'll have security on the site. We will also have toilets, hand washing stations. And really what we've tried to do is cluster this site to where it can be broken into varying groups that may need a certain area, certain needs met, that they can't be combined with other populations on the site. So we're going to be working with the site operator to make sure that that comes to fruition in the best means possible. So we'll go from there. And then finally, and it's not necessarily a component of the actual site operation, but it's in conjunction with it, it's O&E. outreach and engagement. The city went through interviews just last week. We are pleased to say that there are some viable candidates to fill a social worker position and also an aide position. Those will be hourly positions that will be going out into the creeks, the waterways, the public spaces in order to engage in a way that enables these people to understand that there are viable options for them to go through, whether it's the tourist shelter, whether it's whatever entity it is, and then obviously the pallet shelter site. So we're at a point where we're almost out of breath. With all of that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, but things are pressing ahead quickly, a lot quicker than typical in government, and I'm pleased to say that we are very close to getting this launched and open. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Questions or
I
comments?
have a question. Thanks for being here, City Manager Orme. We really appreciate it.
You bet.
I'm just curious, you talked about an outreach social worker position and an outreach aide, and I'm wondering, is that going to be something that the city manages, or is that something that your contractor through the Jesus Center will manage?
Yeah, so that'll be something the city manages. One of the things that we wanted to do, we thought we had a contractor in place to do that work. We were very hopeful we could find a contractor to do it, but it didn't come to fruition. And so always the backup to the backup is the city doing it. We would rather that professionals and that level of expertise be conducted by entities that do it regularly. Well, we ended up having to go with the last option, and that's the city conducting that work. One of the things that's key in that, though, although it won't be the Jesus Center conducting that, is that they will be working hand in hand. They're going to have to, because as you have that site access, they have to go through this process in order to enable them to be able to be on the site. And so they're going to be working hand in hand, even though they're not working with for the Jesus Center. They will be a city employee, and we will be working very closely.
Is that a position you have already or those positions you've already listed, or is it an RFP, or how does that?
Yeah, those positions were put out for recruitment at least a couple of weeks ago. The date escapes me specifically, but we went ahead and polled. It's open until filled. So we went ahead and polled all of those applications. We had 20 applications for one of the positions. We had, I think, 17 for the other one.
Wow.
And I will be conducting a second round of interviews with the finalists this week.
Excellent. And then I don't know if you were present for Supervisor Lucero's report, but one of the issues that she raised was related to RV camping and folks who are living in their vehicles. And I'm wondering what the city's plan or how within the city limits it's going to be addressed.
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, we're focused on those without that type of shelter. We're focused on getting those folks that are in our public rights-of-way into shelter. So with that focus, and then we'll be able to go on and focus on maybe some of these other issues. We know that they're concerns. We know every city's dealing with them. When I walked in, I actually heard that at the end of your report, so I got to catch that last part. And that is a concern that's across the state of California, where cities are trying to wonder, how do we deal with this, working in conjunction with their county partners. And so hopefully that conversation will continue. But first things first, we need to get the people that don't even have a vehicle to be in and into a safer place. And so that's where we're focused right now.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I know
Sure.
how valuable your time is. So the thing I wanted to bring up is also while I was back in Washington, D.C., there was a woman who spoke from the University of Florida, and I started talking to her about Butte County and the campfire and, just how we have so many people living on the streets and, we've lost, 17,500 homes, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, she talked to me about improving community health and resilience through the arts, and the League of Cities is actually a partner in this. And I kind of want to talk to you offline, but I wanted to bring it up. And the initiative is called There's No Place Like Home. And the impetus for all of this is bringing the arts into the Pallet Shelter environment, both as a way to make it seem less like a camp and more like a home, and also as therapy for those who are there. And there's some really great initiatives. And so I was hoping you and I could talk offline about it, but some really great ideas. had we been 1 week earlier, we could have slid in because they have no projects west of the Mississippi, and they were very interested in this project. So
Look forward to that conversation.
yeah, okay. And they, what they require is $500,000 commitment of ARPA funds, and I asked them, would the 1.7 million from the county qualify as the, buy-in, and they said yes. So, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to thank you as well. I haven't been in this position long, but from what I've heard, the city of Chico County relations are probably as good as they've ever been. So I think that has a lot to do with you and to do with Andy. So thank you very much on that. And then on another issue, if you don't mind asking me asking you, is the ambulance service issue. And I don't want you to have to go into it, but I just encourage you to work along with Andy to make sure that we have great ambulance service through all of Butte County, including the rural areas. So you don't have to comment on that, but just encouraging you to do that. Thank you.
No, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Supervisor Kimmelshoe.
Any other questions or comments?